The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, in a quiet countryside surrounded by golden fields and a shimmering blue lake, a mother duck sat patiently on her nest. She had been waiting for weeks, keeping her eggs warm under her soft feathers. Finally, one by one, the eggs began to crack, revealing fluffy little ducklings with bright eyes and cheerful chirps. However, one egg remained unhatched. It was larger and rougher than the others, and the mother duck was beginning to wonder whether it was even a duck's egg at all. Still, she continued to sit on it, hoping for the best. A few days later, the large egg finally cracked, and out came a peculiar-looking duckling. Unlike his siblings, he was bigger. His feathers were gray and ragged, and he had a long, awkward neck. The other ducklings giggled and whispered among themselves, "He doesn't look like us. How strange he is." Even the mother duck, though kind-hearted, couldn't help but notice how different he was. Nevertheless, she led her brood to the water, encouraging them to swim. The strange-looking duckling swam just as well as the others, but he still felt out of place. As time passed, the other animals at the farm began to mock the little duckling. The hens clucked at him, the geese hissed, and even the other ducks quacked in disapproval. "Go away! You're too ugly to be one of us," they jeered. The poor duckling felt lonely and unwanted. Even his own siblings pecked at him and excluded him from their games. One day, unable to bear the cruelty any longer, the ugly duckling decided to run away. He flew over the farm fence, running as fast as his webbed feet could take him. He wandered through meadows and marshes, hiding wherever he could find shelter. The world outside was vast and full of dangers. He encountered wild birds who sneered at him, a farmer's dog that sniffed him and walked away as if he wasn't even worth chasing, and even a group of hunters whose gunshots made him tremble with fear. During his journey, he stumbled upon a small cottage where an old woman lived with her cat and hen. "Maybe they will be kind to me," he thought. But the cat, who was proud of his ability to purr and arch his back, and the hen, who boasted about laying eggs, both looked at the duckling with disdain. "Can you purr?" asked the cat. "Can you lay eggs?" demanded the hen. When the duckling admitted that he could do neither, they laughed at him. Feeling unwanted once again, he left the cottage and wandered further into the world. Autumn arrived, painting the trees in brilliant shades of red, orange, and gold. The duckling watched flocks of birds flying south for the winter, longing to join them. But he was alone, with no family, no friends, and nowhere to belong. As winter came, the lakes froze, and food became scarce. The poor duckling shivered in the cold, barely surviving the harsh season. He tried to take shelter in reeds and bushes, but the icy winds pierced through him, making his body ache with cold. One bitterly cold evening, a kind farmer found him half frozen in the snow. The farmer picked him up and took him home, warming him by the fire and feeding him. For a while, the duckling felt safe, but when the farmer's children tried to play with him too roughly, he became frightened and fled once again. The winter seemed endless, and he barely managed to survive. Each day was a battle against the cold, hunger, and loneliness. As the long winter finally gave way to spring, the duckling grew larger and stronger. One day he found himself by a sparkling lake, surrounded by blossoming flowers and fresh green grass. He gazed into the water and saw a breathtaking sight: 3 majestic white swans gliding gracefully across the lake. They were the most beautiful creatures he had ever seen. Overcome with sadness, he lowered his head and sighed, "If only I were as beautiful as they are. But I am just an ugly duckling." Just then, he caught his own reflection in the water and gasped. The awkward gray feathers were gone, replaced by gleaming white plumage. His long neck was elegant and proud. He was no longer the ugly duckling. He had transformed into a magnificent swan. At first, he couldn't believe his own eyes. Cautiously, he spread his wings, which were now strong and powerful. He flapped them and soared into the air, feeling the wind beneath him. The 3 swans noticed him and swam toward him with warm, welcoming eyes. "Come with us," they invited. "You are one of us now." The once lonely duckling had finally found where he belonged. He glided across the water with his new family, feeling a joy he had never known. No longer was he mocked or rejected. Instead, the other animals on the lake admired his beauty and grace. As he stretched his wings toward the sky, he thought about all the hardships he had faced, the pain of being different, and the loneliness of being unwanted. But now he understood that those struggles had led him to this moment. He had never been an
Ugly Duckling. He had been a swan all along. The swan spent the rest of his days basking in the warmth of his newfound home. He danced across the water, enjoying the admiration of those around him. And as he watched the sunlight shimmer on the rippling lake, he finally felt at peace. His heart was full, and he knew he had found his place in the world. And so he spread his wings and embraced his new life, knowing that he had finally found his true self, the beauty that had always been inside him.